Today's lesson is volume of cylinders. We're going to be looking at volumes of different types of shapes. Just a quick review. What is volume? Volume is the space inside a 3D shape. All right, so this is the most basic type. If you were to find the volume of this prism, what you need to do is find the area of the base first, and then times it by the number of layers, as they say, high. All right, in this case, your floor would be 10 times 3, 30 square units. And now you have 4 figurative floors. So it would be 30 times 4, 120 cubic inches, since we have our 3 dimensions now. And this is our formula here, length times width times height for a prism. But today we're not going to be looking at prisms, but the idea here is whatever your base is, that's the first part. So you're going to see that for all of our formulas. Find the area of your base and then times it by the height. So we're going to look at the cylinder now. And, of course, the difference here between a cylinder and a prism is that you have a circle. All right, so GoMath shows us our example here is that if we tried to get square units on our circle, this is what it would look like. And so that is our base, the area of our base, and then we're going to times it by our height going up. All right, so it's important for us to remember how to find the area of a circle. And so this is how you do it. If you're given the radius, you're going to use the formula right here. You're going to square your radius. Radius times itself, and then times it by pi. So for purposes of our lesson today, you don't have to times out 3.14, but I just want you guys to realize where that's coming from. Okay, so the area of our circle here is 36 pi. Again, find the radius, square the radius, use pi, and when asked for you to do so, times it by 3.14. The other type of problem you're going to see is this one, where you're going to see the diameter. They're going to give you the distance across. Do not square that. You have to then find what the radius would be. All right, so you divide it by 2. So you see this example here. If I know my diameter is 20, I'm going to cut that in half, and now each of my segments is 10, right? So that's where it comes from. My radius is 10. 10 squared is 100. 100 times pi is my area of my circle. All right, so that's important because you are now going to use that when calculating your volume. So there's your radius. All right, so you're going to square your radius again to find the area of the base, which is going to be radius squared times pi, and then you times it by your height. All right, so let's look at an example here. All right, so let's start with our circle. All right, like we looked at before, we are given the radius now. All right, so this is our circle area formula again. I'm just going to write that out. Area equals pi times radius squared. All right, so 3 squared is going to be 9 pi. So I'm going to write that out like this, 9 pi. Sorry, a little messy there. And now I'm going to times it by the height of my shape because it's a number of floors going up, layers going up, all right? So my answer would be 90 pi. I can multiply out 3.14 times 90 if I would like, but I want you guys to understand where that's coming from today. All right, so that's the first part, is understanding using the radius. And then our next part is right here. You see how you are given the diameter. All right, diameter is not in the circle area formula, so now you need to divide it by 2 in order to get the radius. All right, so 6.4 divided by 2, you get 3.2. All right, 3.2 squared times pi, and then times your height, which is going to be 13. So now it's just a matter of plugging numbers back in. All right, so it'd be nice to utilize that Chrome calculator if you're using Google Chrome right now. Very, very helpful. All right, it lets you have that square button right here. So let's type that in, 3.2 squared, 10.24, all right, times my height now, which is 13. All right, so I would have 133.12 pi, and I can times out pi if I would like. All right, the pi button is there. All right, so I could do that, and it gives me my answer. All right, but I want you guys to realize where these parts are coming from. All right, so that is finding the volume of a cylinder. The next is volume of a cone. All right, so a cone, take a look at right here. A cone is a 3-dimensional shape that looks a little bit different, right? And this is what GoMath says, or shows in this example, that if you were to pour that into a cylinder, you see how it doesn't fill the hole, right? Because of the way that it is starting with the circle, right, which matches your circle, but the floor is going up and down. It's not keeping that same area, right? It's getting reduced. And so our formula now has a 1/3 in front of it. So that's the difference, all right, is you have to realize that is whenever you start with your circle, you times it by your height, which would be your cylinder, right? So if I times it by the height, which I just did, I would be given this shape, right? But now I have missing sides because of my cone going up, right? I'm missing those. That is where the 1/3 comes in. All right, so you start the same way. You start with finding the volume of a cylinder, and then you take 1/3 of it, or you divide it by 3. All right, let's look at a few examples. All right, so here we go. Let's start with my base. All right, so 2 squared, radius squared, times pi. So that's going to be 4 pi times my height, which is going to be 8. Again, I'm using everything from my formula here. That's 32 pi. And then what I need to do is divide it by 3 or times it by 1/3. All right, so this is what it would look like. All right, so what I want you guys to type in for the assignment would be 32 pi, pi, all right, divided by 3. All right, you don't have to multiply out. I just want you to understand the process. All right, so this is what you're looking to do. All right, let's do one more example like that. All right, so right here, take a look at what I'm given. I'm given the line across, which is going to be 8. All right, so that is my diameter. I need to find my radius. All right, so I divide by 2, and once I do that, both of these become 4. So I plug everything in now. 4 squared times pi times the height of my shape, which is 9. And then I need to take 1/3 of it. Okay, so this is how I set up my formula right here. What I can do now is, because I have order of operations, right, I can take 1/3 of 9 because it goes across, right? So I would have 3. And then I have 4 squared, which is 16. So I have 16 pi times 3. That would be 48. 48 pi is your answer. You could type in 48 pi. All right. You could also just go straight across if you wanted to. You could do 16 pi, and then you could times it by 9, and then you could divide it by 3, okay, because of the 1/3. So that's what you're doing for your assignment today. You're just going to make up, the steps that the people did that were in class. You're going to find the areas of the first 3 here based off of, what is given to you. You're given either the radius or the diameter. So calculate the areas. That's the kind of pre-steps. And then you are going to calculate the areas or the volumes of your shape. So start with the area of your circle, and then times it by the height, and then times it by the 1/3 for your cone. You're going to do that for all 4 of those. So the last 3 slides you're going to do and submit those to me. Any questions, let me know.